Hello everybody. I just wanted to upload a quick video to explain where I've been. Some of you might have noticed that I've actually not uploaded anything for almost a month now. You know, I've been away from from making videos with little to no explanation. So I just wanted to put forth an explanation here now. And it's the fact that over the last several weeks I've been dealing with some personal problems. I've been having trouble with my mental health, but on top of that, I've sort of come to terms with the fact that I've been struggling with alcohol. Um, some of you know that I had quite a difficult couple of years. All the ceilings in my house falling through, when I spent 6 months living in a hotel looking after my disabled mother and uncle, taking care of them, and then all the stress of trying to get the house fixed fell onto my shoulders. So I was doing that, and then once we got home, my uncle passed away shortly thereafter, and I've mentioned in a couple of videos, he was a very, very important man to me. He basically saved my life. So he was very, very important to me, and it hit me quite hard. Now, in that time, I wouldn't necessarily say reliant on alcohol, but I started drinking excessively. And I mean excessively. I've been drinking up to, and sometimes beyond, 2 bottles of wine every single night through that period. And occasionally there've been the odd drink, throughout the afternoon as well. Like maybe a couple of cans or a couple of bottles of beer or cider, and I'm talking like alcoholic cider, not American cider. So I've been drinking way too much, and a little while ago I sort of came to this realization one night. I was sitting there, I was watching some film or something, just drinking away, and then I sort of thought to myself, what the fuck am I doing? I'm sitting here drinking to excess. Why? What am I doing to myself? Because obviously I know it's very, very bad. So I decided to seek help. So I called up or I sent a letter to a local substance abuse team and said, look, I'd like to refer myself um, into your care, as it were. And I went along to them and had a couple of meetings, to talk about things and reasons and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to get help for this problem now. With people with substance abuse, they always try and rationalize it and explain it away. Things like, everybody on this channel who's watched my videos for a long time knows that I suffered domestic abuse. I was homeless for a year, and then of course all the stuff that I mentioned at the beginning of the video with the house falling apart and the stress of getting that all sorted whilst looking after disabled relatives, and then of course one of said relatives passing away. And you try and rationalize it, going, this is the reason behind why I do what I do. But in reality, you have to sort of face up to the fact that it's like, you should be strong enough to deal with sort of thing without having to rely on alcohol or drugs or whatever it may be. Now, I'm staunchly against drugs, never used them, never want to. I have no interest in it. But, I understand the reasons why people do it, but, well, why some people do it, should I say. But when you're doing this to yourself, when you're like drinking to excess or taking drugs and whatever, you're not only harming yourself, you're harming the people around you. And some of I look after my mother. She has like mobility issues, and things like that. So, she's got to be able to rely on me to take her to like doctor's appointments and things like that. Now, when it comes to my excessive drinking, I'm not sort of like waking up first thing in the morning and then drinking throughout the entire day. No, I only sort of drink sort of maybe mid-late afternoon through the evening. And some of you might have noticed, in the videos that I make for this channel, for a long time you've seen me drinking bottles of mineral water, or drinking out of my Air Up thing. But occasionally you would have seen me drinking like a beer or a hard cider, as it were. And you might have noticed in a lot of my more recent videos, I've been drinking alcohol on video a lot more. So yeah, and yeah, I sort of came to this sort of realization that I needed to get help. And I mean, the thing is, again, like I said, people try and rationalize it. I mean, I live in a very, very isolated place. I live in a very small village, pretty far away from anywhere. It's like 8 miles to the closest shop. So I'm very lonely and very bored a lot of the time. And whilst I do have friends, the closest in distance to a friend for me is about 40-50 miles. So I don't get to hang out with people very often, if ever at all. And in the village I live in, there's only 2 things to do: go to church or go to a pub. Or sit by the river, should I say. So, I'm a very isolated person. So, even though I'm on Facebook and things like that, people don't message me. People don't message me regularly to talk to me. I don't have any friends that sort of message me like once or twice a week saying, "Hi, how you doing? Let's catch up," this, that, and the other. People don't do that. If I ever have a conversation on Facebook, it's normally me starting the conversation. Nobody ever actually reaches out to me to see if I'm okay, except for maybe my brothers and my sister. And, it's quite depressing. And you some of you know that I struggle with depression and mental health problems. So this was my way of rationalizing it. I'm bored, I'm lonely, so I'm going to sort of try and stave away that sort of loneliness by drinking. And of course I suffer with severe insomnia as well, and I've tried all sorts of bloody medications, whether they're off the shelf or over the counter prescription sort of medications, and none of them ever seem to bloody work. For some reason I seem to be immune to sleeping pills, which is quite annoying. And of course, sleeping pills mixed with alcohol is a very, very bad thing. I've never actually done that though. So I'd sit there and I'd drink until I passed out, basically. But when you sleep from drinking to excess, it's not good sleep. It's not restful sleep. So I wasn't doing myself any favours there. So, like I said a little while ago, I came to terms with the fact of what I was doing and decided to get help. So, this is why I've not uploaded for a while, because I've been trying to get my head straight. So, yeah. If anybody is struggling with substance abuse, I do implore you to please try and seek the help that you need, because like I say, you're not only hurting yourself, because drinking to excess is very, very damaging to your liver, and drugs and this, that, they're very incredibly bad for you. But you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting those around you, because you might have friends and family sitting there watching you slowly destroy yourself, and chances are they will have tried to talk to you about it. They might have said, "Look, we think you're drinking too much," or "We want you to get help for your drug habit." But as I said, you always try and rationalize it and find excuses for it, and you might have ended up getting into confrontations, arguments. You might have falling out with friends and family over this, and these are the people that you really need when you're going through this. Especially if you come to the same decision as I have, like, I need help, because then you need that sort of support network behind you to help you through it. If you're struggling, you don't need to go through it alone. I made this admission to myself, and the following day I made the admission to my mother, and to my family, and to my friends, even though they live very, very far away from me. I made the admission to my friends as well and said, "Look, I'm going to be doing this because I realise I've been going excessive on what I've been doing, And all of them have been incredibly supportive of me. They've been incredibly helpful. They've been like, we're here for you if you're having trouble, if you're struggling, just talk to us, and this, that, and the other. So, it's important that you have these people there and don't push them away when they try to help you. There's going to be times when it's going to be difficult, and I'm not going to lie to you, it is going to be difficult coming to terms with this and trying to fight against it. But you need those people there. And it's it might be difficult to admit it to yourself, because it is, like I said, a lot of people sort of rationalise it to themselves, or they lie to themselves going, no, I'm doing fine, I'm not pushing it to excess, I'm not going to overdose on drugs, I'm not going to get so drunk that they find me laying in the middle of the road. I mean, I've never been that drunk, I don't drink that much. I've never been so drunk I've had to crawl home. And most of the times when I do get drunk, I tend to be at home, because I don't actually like being drunk. I actually have a very high tolerance for alcohol. I don't like being drunk, so occasionally I will get very drunk, but very, very rarely. I'll just sort of drink until I sort of get drowsy, and then I'll go to sleep. But, this is not the way to do it. So, if you are struggling with these sorts of things, or, it's important that you get the help, because you are damaging your health. And I've come to this sort of realization. I've come to this sort of, well, I mean, obviously I knew that it was bad for my health, but again, I sort of pushed it aside, because I'm actually very lucky. I've got an insanely strong immune system and stuff like that. So, I very rarely get ill, but that doesn't make me immune to things like liver disease, But when you're in that sort of mind space where you're drinking excessively, I'm fine, I'm strong as an ox, I've got a very strong body. It doesn't work that way, so when you're in that headspace, you've got to try and force yourself to realise what you're doing, and come to that sort of realisation that you are abusing it, you are relying on it, you are using it to excess. And it's important that you try and seek help. So, this is why I've sort of been absent for about a month. Obviously, I'm still seeking help. I'm still trying to fight this, as it were. Because, when it comes to things like drugs and alcohol, you can't just stop. Because that can lead to a very bad shock to your body. If you stop drinking, if you drink excessively and you stop drinking, suddenly you can have things like seizures and things like that, and obviously you don't want that to happen. So it's a gradual process. You've got to sort of wean yourself off of it. I mean, as it is, I've been buying crates of alcohol-free beer, which it's something I've always been staunchly against. It's like decaffeinated coffee. I don't see the point in it. But now that, I wouldn't say I need it, but now that it's something I can turn my attention to instead of the alcohol that I've been drinking, it's a good sort of placebo, as it were. So now I can see the point to it. So I'm trying to slowly wean myself off it, and it's going to take me a while. And the bigger problem here is, of course, I'm going to Bloodstock in August, so that's going to be a bit of a pain. I can still have the occasional drink, but I've got to watch the volume of which I partake. But Bloodstock's going to be a bit of a test, but I'm sure they'll have alcohol-free beers there, won't they? I would have thought. Anyway, but yeah, this is where I've been, why I've not uploaded for a while, but I'm going to try and get back to it pretty soon. I've had quite a few requests from bands and from some of the viewers of the channel, but I just wanted to update you on as to why I haven't uploaded in a while. So yeah, there's that. Hopefully I'll get back to doing videos very, very soon, but I'm going to leave that as it is. Thank you all very, very much for watching and your understanding, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye bye.